Hello, this is Christy, and today I'm going to start a new series of videos about Xara Designer Pro X. I have here the latest version of Xara, and it is a very powerful software that you can use to create graphics, documents. You can produce anything you want from web graphics and websites, although they are static, to very detailed illustrations, multi-page documents. You can use them for print. You can create PDF files out of them. And if you're working with photos, then Xara has some basic photo editing tools and also some photo compositing and effects you can apply to your photos. You can create digital photo compositions. And if you're creating websites, you can start by creating your website layout or website pages and then saving them as HTML and images for your website. And also, if you like to do drawing and illustration, then you can produce those with Xara as well. And I have used it since about version 1.2, I think, back when it was called Corel Xara. I think it started out belonging to Corel, and then they parted ways. And I have used it to create simple logos. I've created logos for most of my clients, and brochures, flyers, even posters that are tall as buildings I've created in Xara. So it is very powerful, and it's not expensive at all. You could say it's also trying maybe to be a little bit everything in one. So with the Pro version, so Xara Designer Pro, you can do all of these illustrations, you can do graphics, web designs, you can do print designs, you can create documents with multiple pages. Also, you can create entire publications and catalogs, and I have done this. I've done entire catalogs or magazines in Xara, and I've created flyers, brochures, all of those 3-flap kind of things, and even one-page documents, and also illustrations. And you can do so many things in it, and it's kind of all in one. It's quite similar to Adobe Illustrator in the design, graphic part and illustration, and it's similar to InDesign from Adobe in terms of managing multiple pages and creating text boxes and linking them together and creating complete magazines if you want. And also it is similar to the old Fireworks, I think, from Adobe, which allowed you to create web pages and start out with web graphics and all those things. And finally, it produces PDFs from your documents. It doesn't allow you to edit PDF files though, but you can export PDF files from your designs. So long story short, I want to start a new series on Xara Designer Pro, and I'm going to take it from scratch. I'm going to start showing you in this episode of my series. I'm going to show you the interface layout. I'm going to go on an overview of where everything is and what functions the software has. And then in the next tutorials, I'm going to take absolutely every one of the tools and show you how it works and what it does. So if you have not subscribed to my channel, I invite you to subscribe and like and share this video, and make sure you activate that bell icon to be notified when I upload new tutorials. Also on my channel you can find tutorials for Photoshop, Camtasia, Adobe Premiere Pro, and Audition, and all other software that I use in my day-to-day work. So I'm sharing those with you. And if you have any questions, please let me know what you would like me to make tutorials about next. So that being said, now let's have a look at Xara Designer Pro interface. So if you see, I have here a page open. This is a new document I have. So in Xara you have your page. This is your page here. You can change the size and orientation of this page, and also it allows you to create multi-page documents, which we will see a bit later. But now let's look at the interface. So you have here the top bar, the sidebar with the tools, and your documents here are in tabs. So if you create multiple documents like I'm doing here, you can see that each document can be open at the same time, and also you can navigate with the tabs between the documents. You can copy files and graphics between them and so on. You can close your document by using this X tool here, X cross, or the X on the tab, or even the top right X here that closes the current document. And we are back to one document here, and let's move on. So the next part I want to show you is this bar here. This bar is called the info bar, and this bar actually changes with every tool that you select here. So if you watch what I'm doing, I'm changing the tools, and you see this information bar changes there to have specific settings or parameters you can change for the current tool. So this is one part of the interface here that always is different, and when you choose a tool, you can actually see some of the very relevant functions and parameters you can use with that tool. For example, if I choose the pen tool, now here I can draw on my page. I can change here the thickness of my line, but as I'm drawing, I can actually tweak with this info bar. I can tweak the parameters of my tool. So I've just drawn this line. I can adjust the smoothness here to make the line smoother. I can create a brush from it. I can change the type of brush. I can change the sort of shape, the stroke shape, so that it looks like I'm drawing, and all of these tools. So as you can see here, everything changes on this bar according to your tool. Another thing we have here, let me just delete everything here. Another thing we have is the zoom tool. So this is allows you to zoom in and out of your documents. So if I choose 100%, you will see the page kind of zooms in, and you can make it also zoom to the page, zoom to the page content, which I don't have any, but if I have a graphic here, I can click zoom to page content, and it will zoom to that object or to all of the objects that I have. And then you can zoom to the selected object, or you can select page width, whatever. But the easiest way to actually zoom in and out, which is what I use all of the time, is using your mouse wheel. Hold down the control key on your keyboard and zoom in and out with your mouse wheel. So this is very easy to navigate like this. And also, if you are zoomed in and you want to move to another portion of the page, you can press down on the mouse wheel, and if you see here, the mouse cursor turns into a hand. So if I press the mouse wheel and hold it down, I can move my mouse around and I can navigate around my document like this. And together with the control key and zooming in and out with the wheel, you pretty much can go any part of the document very, very quickly. So like this is very easy to do. On the left bar of the document, of course, on the top bar here that I didn't mention, you have the web toolbar, which is with functions to do with web pages. If you're designing websites and web pages with this, you will use this a lot. Then here you have the thickness of the current object's outline, or if you want stroke, like in Adobe Illustrator, it's called stroke. And also you have the new file, save, open, on all of those basic things that you find in most software. This is your top menu bar, and we will look at all of these menus later, but let's go back to the interface here. So the left sidebar, these are your main tools in Xara. So if I'm not going to really touch on all of them, this is the selector tool. This allows you to select objects in your scene. So if I have the eraser tool, for example, I'm erasing stuff from my shapes. But if I want to click on the selector tool, then I can use that to select my objects. Next, you have the mask tool, the photo tool, the eraser tool. This is the paint or drawing tool. You can draw freehand. You can draw freehand. You can draw straight lines, curved lines with Bezier, curve editing, and also a shape painter tool, which allows you to build your own shapes as if you were painting, but actually they are vector shapes. So it produces vector shapes. Then you have your rectangle tool, circle, and quick shape tool. We will see how that can be used to create all sorts of shapes. You have your text tool here, your painting or fill tool. This can be used to fill objects with different colors, and also you can fill them with bitmaps or gradients like that. You have a transparency tool here, and you have the shadow tool. Then you have this tool that has multiple subtools here. So you have a bevel tool, or a blend, contour, mold tool, and then a 3D extrude tool. So you can actually create some text that you can extrude as well. Then finally we have this zoom tool and pan tool, push tool, which is pretty much I've shown you now, zoom to page, zoom to drawing. So these kind of repeat there in this menu at the top. So I hardly ever use this menu really. This is the sidebar with the main tools of the software, and we will go down now on this bar here. This is called the color line, and you have some primary colors here and some basic colors. You can always create your own. So this is your color tool, and just to show you how it works. So you have your object here. This is kind of pink, whatever. So all you have to do is just create click on the object, and then you can click on any color here to change the color of that object to the color you select. Now, if you want to change the stroke of the color or the outline of your object, you don't click, you instead right click, and let me just push the window up here so you can see it. You can right click on the color bar, and then you select fill tool, line tool, text background, paragraph border. All of these are the things. So I'm going to select line tool, which made my outline green. Let me just make it thicker so you can see it. So yeah, this is your outline tool, and simple click changes the color of the object. Now, if the color you want to use is not found among these ones, you can always click on this particular thing. It's called click to edit current color, or you can open this color editor window with that. So here you can choose whichever color you want. So if I click on this object and I want to make it sort of a dark yellow green sort of thing, all you have to do is just select your object. And if you want to change the outline color, you use this drop down here to change to local line color, and now the color change you make here applies to the outline. Maybe that's a little bit too thick right now. So there you have it. So now if you click on another object, again, this color editor changes to the color that the object is currently using. So if I'm clicking on this, I move around, you can see it changes that side because just previously I added a gradient fill to this. We will get into the gradient fills later on. So so this is the color editor. You can change the fill or the outline of your object, and if you have photos, you can also change the duotone. You can create duotone photos from that. You can change the dark tones and the light tones in your photo, and it automatically creates a duotone photo, and it's really quite cool. I will show you that in a future tutorial. But now that being said, so this is the color bar, color line if you want, and you have this little status line here which shows you kind of what is happening, and it adapts to your selection. So if I select my eraser tool, it says drag to erase from all touched objects, right? So I'm getting a bit of a tip on how I can use this tool. And also, if you notice, it has shift key. It just tells you what you can do with the shift key to change the shape of the painter, or then you can click alt and scroll wheel to adjust the nib size, right? So you can see this toolbar here on the as I move it, as I do it, the size changes up and down, and so this status bar at the bottom gives you the status line, gives you some tips about the current tool or the context of what you're doing, right? So that being said, let's pull this down to my window, bottom here of the window, okay, and close this. Let me select and delete everything, right? Okay, so moving on the right side, you may have noticed there are some tabs here and some icons on the right side. So if you hover these, there's like drawers, they open. So for example, you have a designs gallery, right? So you can create you can import pre-made designs, and by default the software does not come with a lot of designs loaded, but you can actually go online, see this plus sign here, you can go online to download more kind of templates if you want. They're like templates, they're pre-made layouts and designs. So the introduction here has a few, so I'm just going to show you. This is my blank document. I open this and I drag this PGD intro, which I think it's an introduction on Xara. So you can take any one of these and just drag it into your document, and boom, it will create that particular design into your document. It added it to a new page, so you see this layout is pre-made. You can actually then make changes to it and you can play around with them. And if the design contains multiple pages like this one, you can just drag it into your document, and it's asking, do you want the colors to match your document? I don't care for that right now. So you can see it now created so many pages here with a pre-built document, which is like an introduction to Xara. So you can use this to learn a bit about it. So you can see this design gallery here. You can import stuff or bring more stuff that's pre-made, and then you customize it and use it yourself. The other tab is the page and layer gallery. So you see I've created here multiple pages from those pre-made designs. So in this page and layer gallery, you can see all of your pages, and then if you open those with these little arrows, layers and pages, so you can see what is on your page, and open them and click on that, and then you go to the particular object. So this allows you again, I didn't mention this, but it works a little bit like Photoshop in this regard, because it works like InDesign, because you can create multiple pages and create complex documents, but it works like Photoshop because it has layers. So Photoshop has layers, Xara has layers, and you can organize objects and close different layers, make them invisible. You can move them up and down. So as an example, I used this to design a map of a city one time. So I designed the whole map of the city in Xara. So then I use layers to put the green spaces like on a layer, and then you've got the roads on another layer. You have the road names on another layer, building names, whatever, on another layer. So then you can turn those on and off as you see fit. And it makes it very easy to work in it like that, because if you organize yourself, it's very powerful. Now, you've noticed that whenever I click outside of this drawer, it just closes. You can actually make these panels stay there. So you can use this auto hide tack little thing icon. You click on it, and then the galleries stay open, so you don't have to open it all the time if you need to use it. Plus you can resize it like that. So this is your page and layer gallery. Moving on, so you have another one here, bitmap gallery, which shows all of the photos or bitmaps you have imported in your document, so you can use them to drag or to fill with. And also this can be made to stick there, so like that. Then you have your other ones. Oh, I made a mess of the interface here, so let me just close them again. Then you have your line gallery, which allows you to create and use different brushes that are pre-made, like this brush, unnamed brush. It looks like a paint. Then you've got acrylic simulation. You've got bubbles, glitches, dry art. So because Xara actually supports pressure, so if you're using Xara with one of those drawing tablets that supports pressure with your pencil, then it will make your lines thicker. I can't demonstrate this to you right now, but it allows you to draw like like a freehand drawing, and it obeys the pressure settings. So if you see here, I'm going to the pen tool, brush, whatever, and then you've got here some pressure recording, right? So if you turn this on, then it will record the pressure on your pencil if you are drawing with one of those drawing tablets, right? And then of course you've got sketch mode, and it's kind of assisting you in how to draw the lines straight, and you can use the smoothing to make your your line smoother or not. So if your hand is kind of shaky, you can then use this to smooth it out a bit if you like that. So then all of these lines that I've just drawn, if I make them a little bit thicker, you can go to the line gallery I just showed you and double click, and then that line will change to that style that you've selected. So they kind of look like a bit like painting. So you know, we can apply all of these kind of shapes. Plus, I think if you have already used a style, then all of the next lines you do will inherit that, and they will draw with that particular shape. So as you can see here, it's quite interesting how you can draw with this. So you can, you know, make it look like a natural drawing. So there you have it. That's the line gallery, and you've got, you know, so many styles in here: fur and ink and paints and all of these other things, watercolor, simulating ones, and so on. So you can make them thicker from here and all of that. So moving on to this fill gallery, this is, you can create fills and store them, and then you apply them to your objects. You can get fills online, and this is the text and font gallery. So this will show you your fonts, all of the fonts installed in your system. So if you type a little bit of text here, this is some text, and you just make it a bit larger like that. So this is your text here, and you can experiment with fonts. So if you can't decide what font to use, you just write some text, select it, and then you go through this list of fonts and double click on them. You can actually see a little preview here of what the font looks like. So this will show all of the fonts installed in your system. Just double click and you can see them applied to your text. So that's quite nice. I use this a lot to experiment with fonts and things like that. So there you go. This is your text font gallery, and then you've got other things like color gallery. You can create your own colors and store them here in your library. So if you like a particular color, you can save it here and then reuse it in your projects, right? You can drag it or double click. Then you have your standard palette, which is the same one you find down here on the color line. You have most of these colors here with percentages of black and all of that. And then Xara also has the Pantone colors, coated and uncoated. So you can actually use these industry standard Pantone colors in your documents, right? So there's a lot of them here. I'm not going to open all of them, but coated and uncoated, solid and colors and so on from Pantone. You can use these in your document. Double click on this and it will apply it to the selected object. Also, when it comes to colors here, if you create a color that you really like, so let's say you have a little font here. I'm just going to make this thicker. You have your text here, and you can use your color editor here. Just open that and you can switch to the color type. So at the moment I have RGB, but you can change it to different types of color models like CMYK or HSV. And you know, let's say you really like this color, maybe this raspberry sort of pink, then and you really like this and you want to use it later, then you don't want to forget the exact settings. So you can click on this icon here to save your colors. You can create a named color. Let's call it a raspberry, right? And then you can create that. So then you see it's added it to the color line down here, raspberry, with the name you gave it. And I believe it's also in your color gallery, but it is in the place where you have used it in the document. So my document is called Untitled 5. Then my color is saved with this document. So whenever I open this document, my color will be down here so I can use it. If you want to use it in other documents, you probably have to add it to your standard palette and save it. Okay, so this is your color bar. This is your color palettes and all of these other things here on the side. Let me close this one. And here you have your names. Again, it's a name gallery, which you can you know, select any object or colors or other stuff and give it names, and you can actually see it here and use it. So refer to it later. So that's pretty much the interface of Xara Designer. Just a quick overview of what you can do with the software, and also the main tools I've mentioned here. I haven't actually demonstrated to you every tool, so I'm going to do this in the next tutorial, I'm going to go over every tool and kind of show you what it does and the parameters you can change. So this video has been quite long already, so thank you for watching, and I hope you will join me in my series of tutorials with Xara Designer Pro X. I am showing them to you in the latest version. This is version X17 from 2020. So this is the version I'm doing these tutorials with, and you know, feel free to write in the comments if you've enjoyed my video, and also if you think that I've skipped over some things that you would like to learn about, let me know and I will try and cover those in a future tutorial. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you next time.